All right, and I'll go ahead and start the recording.
Do it, man.
Welcome to the best agents and investors in the country. Today is Thursday, May 11th, 2023, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 428. I've got nothing, no interview today, Bruce. It's all yours.
All right. Welcome, everybody. For those of you that are here, it's currently 34 of you here. We want to thank you guys for showing up on time. For those of you that are late and listening after the fact, shame on you. And no, I'm just kidding. We're just glad that you guys are listening in and with us. If you are on live stream, YouTube or Facebook, you guys are welcome as well. We're live, and we want you guys to know that you can chat your questions or comments in underneath of the live stream. That will come to the coaches. We'll be able to help answer any of those questions that you guys may have. If you're here live with us on the Zoom, then you can chat your question in. Preferably, I'd love to see your faces and hear your voices. So I'm going to encourage you, if you're up for it, to go down to the bottom of your Zoom window and click that little smiley face that says reactions underneath. And there's a button there that says raise your hand. We will raise your hand we'll see your hand raised and we'll call on you. Why would you do that? If you've never been here before, we want to hear your wins, your success stories. If you've closed deals, signed contracts, if you've gotten a big win, we want to hear from you. As a matter of fact, when we have wins, we will pick a winner of the week, and the winner of the week gets a discount on their leads in the upcoming month. If you just have a question, advanced, basic, whatever it is, we want to hear from you guys. So we're here to talk probate business and building your probate niche. If you have even divorce questions or pre-probate questions, we can answer those, deal structure questions, anything like that. If you've never seen us before, we're All the Leads, and we host this mastermind call that gets turned into podcasts. So if you have no idea who we are, what we do, we can provide you guys with a complete leads system. So we'll give you leads every month. We will fulfill your direct mail for you. We will teach you how to make the prospecting phone calls. We'll build you a website, kind of do everything for and with you that you need to be successful in the niche that you choose. And of course, the niche that most of us have chosen on here is the probate niche. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And with that said, I already have a hand up, so I want to go ahead to Bud here really quickly. And anybody else that has their hands, has a question or a comment or a story, go ahead and raise your hand and we'll call on you here in a bit. But Bud, let's go to you. You can unmute yourself now.
Oh, I hate being muted. It feels like I'm a doggy with a muzzle on my face.
Yeah, you're one of those guys. I see.
One of those guys. So like in your text that you sent me, you said you're going to give us 5 free leads. I mean, if we attend this webinar.
Tim, did Eric? Did we send that out?
Here's what it says here. I'm reading it right here.
I think he's kidding.
Okay, so let me just finish. We have available times, and I'm trying to find it right now on the text here. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to quote. I noticed your expertise in Littleton and wanted to introduce you to our platform and offer you 5 carefully vetted seller and or buyer leads or referrals, which could be a great opportunity for you to, for you, 100% free. That's
Go
right,
to
folks, free to you for just showing up.
Go to
Gotcha.
Okay, bud. Go to our support chat. And as coaches, sometimes I get blindsided by something, and that's totally fine.
I just want to verify one thing before you mute me again.
Yeah.
Are we going to be asked to give a credit card to in order to get these 5 leads? Are we?
No, you should not. I need to verify that was us. So I'm going to have you go to the support chat on All the Leads.
Okay.
And,
Hey, but I was going to, this may be too obvious, but double check the name of the company that sent that to you.
Oh, okay. So this one came from, let's see. This came from somebody with the domain of book.1pm.ai/discover. Okay. Is that not you guys? You
No.
guys have somebody trying to like
Spook
scam
us.
your business.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Spoof.
Yeah, thank you.
Folks,
Go
what do you
talk-
think of spoofers?
Go
I
talk to chat, and I bet you
Yeah.
we can work something out for you.
All right, chat. All right, sir. I'm gonna
Yeah.
exit now. I gotta help my woman with lunch in the kitchen.
Wonderful. All right, bud. Thanks a
Guys,
lot,
I mean, I
man.
enjoy Zoom. Anytime I can get on it, I really enjoy it. And are you in Atlanta? It says ATL right here.
We're all so it stands for all the leads.
All the leads. Cool.
All the leads.
I do like-
Probate, pre-probate, divorce, basically motivated seller leads.
And I don't squander them. Do not, never squander a lead.
No.
Okay. All right, guys, enjoy.
Thanks,
I will
bud.
check it out with your support chat. Thank
All
you.
right, perfect. Just go to
Bye-bye.
alltheleads.com and they'll be able to get you set up with something. Even if that didn't come from us, we'll be able to get you set up with something. All right, good stuff, guys. Okay, Tim, Jim, what do you guys think? We have a possible new coach sitting here on our Zoom screen. Should we do an introduction?
Well, sure.
Absolutely.
All right. I see one of our new coaches. I don't see the other one, but of course it's a lot of Zoom squares right now. I am going to ask our fan favorite, Kelly Leidke, to unmute herself. Kelly is going to be a peer coach with us starting next week, right, Kelly?
Yeah, I guess if that's what we're doing, Bruce, is it next week?
I hope so. Yeah, that's my hope, or Friday. I just
Or
wanted to
Friday, you're
I
out.
I wanted to let everybody know that we are gonna have some of our successful subscribers come over and start taking some of the monthly coaching calls that are so popular and that you guys have asked for. So I wanted to remind everyone who is a subscriber that you guys get a free monthly strategy call. And up until now, that has been with myself and with Coach Chuck. Chuck has gotten really busy, and he's started putting all his energy into transactions. And so Kelly, who's had some amazing success, and I'm going to have her give us a really quick recap on what that looks like, is going to be kind of a subscriber peer coach for you guys that you're going to be able to book coaching calls with. So Kelly, tell us a little bit about your long-term experience and experience with probate. Give us a background.
Sure. I don't know if we would consider it long term. So we started with all the leads in December. And like any good agent, I sat on it and realized it was coming out of my bank account that I needed to do something with it, right? So we started in January with mailings, had a lot of success from the beginning with mailings. So right now, I can't even tell you the numbers. I think we're at 8 closed, 8-ish is what I'm going to say. And we've had 8 closed, and we've been able to sign a lot of pre-listings at this point. As of right now and today, all the leads is my best paid return on investment lead source. Definitely have made all the money that I will spend on all the leads the entire year. I've already made it back since January.
Amazing. And you got a slow start too.
I did. Yeah, because we didn't do anything in December, and the market was shifting. And remember, the market was falling apart in December and January. That first quarter was probably rough for all of us. So yeah, it was definitely a slow start, but we had a great success with it. So I'm happy to be here.
Amazing. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. And you're welcome. Even if you haven't officially started yet, you're welcome to hang out and chime in whenever you want. Everybody knows that I tend to dominate the airwaves here. So if you want me to shut up, just say, Bruce, shut up. I got something to say here. All right. So Kelly and another one of our subscribers, Cameron Rosso, is going to be starting here very, very soon as well. Cameron is a little bit of a balance to Kelly, where Kelly's gotten so much of her business out of the mailing that we provide and the letters we provide and the mailing services that we provide for you. Cameron has done almost the opposite. His business comes off of the phone. He is a master on the phone. And I would say Kelly is as well, but there's multiple different things that we're going to ask you guys to do and teach you to do to see success. And if you do those things, then you will see success. Inactivity is where people struggle, and it's not really a complicated business, but you just pick the phone up and you send mailers out. And ideally, those people that kind of sit on the sidelines checking you out secretly, you want a website that they can go look at you. And that's as simple as this business is. Are there other things that you guys can do? Absolutely. There are some other things you can do, but you don't need to add in every little thing right out of the gate. So if you guys are new, website, mail, phone calls, and you'll see success. And then you can add to your campaign little by little over time. All right, coaches, anything from you guys? We are still waiting questions, success stories. We want to hear from you all. So go ahead and put those questions up. I'd like to know how many people that are listening to us live right now are not currently doing any probate leads. So how many of you are just kind of checking things out from the sidelines and watching and learning a little bit and waiting to pull the trigger? And I promise if you raise your hand or chat your response in, we're not going to hound you. But I do want to know how many people are existing subscribers versus just kind of checking things out and thinking about probate. And if you're thinking about probate, raise your hand or send a chat in on whatever medium you're watching on. And I'm going to encourage you, go after it. There's a lot of business here. These are motivated sellers. And being a lurker, I see Mr. Mike said, I'm a lurker. Lurking is totally fine. A lot of people do that for a long time. And they get prepared. And then when they're ready to pull the trigger, things typically start with a bang. So good to see everyone. Tim or Jim, do you guys have you talked to any of our subscribers this week, heard any success stories? I've heard a few. I don't want to call on anyone that might be here with us next week, but I've definitely this week I've had a couple of folks that I know are getting some of their first deals that have been with us for a few months. And I do want everyone to know that sometimes it can take a couple of months of building that pipeline to get some business. This is one of the things I love about the probate niche is that it takes 3 months, 4 months for the average person that is going through probate to get ready to sell a house. And that's an amazing thing. Being that they're going to take 4 months means that your competitors typically might touch them one time and then drop. And so what you're going to do and what we're going to teach you how to do is build a campaign that lasts. And because your campaign lasts, when people get ready to sell inherited real estate, you're going to be top of mind. So you're going to be in really good position. And I think I see Dave's hand up. Dwayne, your hand is up as well. I'm not sure. I've got Zoom user and it's my mistake. I told you guys to raise your hand if you were new. I know Dave and Dwayne aren't new, so I'm going to call on Dwayne first. And I see a couple of other hands up. If you put your hand up just to say that you're new and don't have a question, pull your hand down. After Dwayne, I'm going to go to the person in the screen that just says Zoom user and see if you have a question, and then we'll go to Dave. So Dwayne, go ahead.
Okay, thanks a lot. I'm thinking that like some others in the room last week, after Kelly gave her spiel and touched on novations, it was like an electric shock that went through the room. As far as what she's accomplished with novations, that's what I'm focusing on. Anyway, I'm interested in getting in line to get some coaching help with Kelly.
That was actually Casey, who on my screen is there. I will reach out to Casey. Casey's not one of our coaches, but I'll reach out to Casey and see how or if she's available to talk to anyone about novations. But I want to have that. I'm not going to put her on the spot right now. I want to have that conversation with Casey first.
Okay.
Hey, Casey,
So
how are you?
Person.
Yep. Kelly, have you ever done a novation?
I have not.
Okay. So Kelly would not be a good coach for you, Dwayne. Not on that topic.
Yeah, that topic.
Right. Good. Do you have any questions at this point, Dwayne?
No, no, you can go ahead to the next one. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks so much for chiming in. Appreciate it. All right. I'm going to go to Dave Gwynn. What's happening, my man?
Hey, what's going on, Bruce?
Not a
doing?
whole lot. What's going on?
Not too much. Just plugging away here. I would be very interested in talking a little bit about innovations. I must have missed last week's call, so I'll have to do the replay on that.
It was a great call.
Yeah, I know a little bit about innovations, just enough to be dangerous, probably. So I'd love to get some more info on that for sure. But yeah, I put my hand up because I've got a deal that I've been working on. It is a heir, and so this guy lives in Canada. House is here in Colorado. He's a Canadian citizen. His ex-wife passed away and is a part owner in the property here. He's the sole heir and named in the will. And I'm just curious to know if there's a certain requirement when it's, they lived in Canada. She passed away in Canada. And so in that circumstance, can they just open up a probate in the county in which they have the property, or do they have to open up something in Canada first, which then appoints the PR and you bring it to the court, county court here and do it? He's apprehensive to open it up in Canada right away because he thinks he's going to trigger a big old tax bill. I don't think they have the same benefits in Canada with the step up in basis as they do here, but
are they also U.S. citizens or only Canadian citizens?
I believe she was a U.S. citizen. I'll have to confirm that, but I think the will was drafted in Canada and she lived in Canada.
Got it. Yep. In general, you need to open probate in the county where the asset is located. So they're going to want to open that in Colorado for sure. Okay. I am not sure if they should also open something in Canada. The reason that I ask that is I know that there's, I think it's called, I'm going to mess this up. I think it's FERPTA maybe. And that could be something else. It's not, I don't deal with it all the time, but it's, if you are a citizen of another country, the US generally over a certain amount holds 15% of the property value back for taxes, and they may get it and they may not. So if she or he are a US citizen, that would be an amazing thing because there's probably going to be that 15% held back. Now, a lot of times it ends up coming back in some sort of a refund, but the US is just trying to make sure that nobody's leaving the country to dodge taxes. And so they will hold that almost like a capital gain, but it's not a capital gain. It's 15% of the gross sale price. So check on that. If one of them is a citizen, then I would say that you should be able to avoid that. They should definitely file probate in the county where the asset is, though. And then probably need to get a Canadian attorney involved to find out if they need to open something in Canada. And that's a great service that you can provide, is reach out to some attorneys that handle estates and things like that in Canada. I'm not sure what those laws are.
And David, it's a great access for you in the door of a local attorney in the US also. Reach out and say, I've got a client for you already. Ask those questions and make the introduction. He may be able to head that off and just tell you, no, you do or you don't need to, I would think he would know. The local attorney would know if this is something that was, needed to be dealt with in Canada. So you may want to start there.
It could also be an international attorney that you might want to connect with as well. Even if they don't do probate, they likely have connections. Anytime I have an opportunity to reach out to an attorney that does law that might touch inheritance or anything like that, I'm going to do it, even if I have no idea where that relationship's going to lead to. You'd be surprised how a good relationship like that can pay dividends to your business.
In every state where there is a lot of vacation property, Colorado being one of those, almost all of those have attorneys who specialize in international family law. And that's really maybe what you want to look for is an international family law attorney locally there, and they'll know all the ins and outs of that. They should. And if, 2 or 3 phone calls, you should have the right person to be able to give you the right advice in that.
Great.
Awesome. Dave, I hope that helped just a little bit, even if we couldn't give you specific answers on exactly what you needed to do. There's always resources. And I realize that we're kind of your first resource when you have unusual questions like that. Hopefully, dancing around a topic like that doesn't steer you away from asking something complicated again in the future.
No, I would
Sure,
also
sure.
once you get an answer on this, and this is something that, every time we get something that's new, and it's not all that often that we do, but we do from time to time, where, we haven't heard that one before. Please come back and tell us what you found out, man.
Will do. Yeah, I figured with the snowbirds in Canada coming down to Arizona, Florida, wherever, that maybe somebody had come across that. But yeah, I'll report back once I find out more. And the question really came from, I looked up the deed paperwork, and it was her and her 2 siblings had inherited it, and the deed that transferred it to them was read that maybe it was her dad or her mom, whatever, had opened up probate in Ontario, which then appointed this person, whoever it was, as personal rep, to then transfer and sign off on the deed to the heirs, is how they receive the property. So I wasn't sure if that was mandatory or not. So I'll report back once I find out more.
So I assume that the husband is getting a 1/3 ownership in the property, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And do the siblings, do they want to sell?
They do.
Okay, great. Excellent. I think you got something good there, and I do want to open it up to our audience here on Zoom. Well, I've got some other hands up that I'm going to call on here in a second, but if you're here on Zoom live with us right now and you've dealt with this, because I guarantee in a room like this, I've got some brokers with some experience that have dealt with something like that. I want you guys to chat. Go to the chat and just say, "Hey, I've dealt with it. I have a good answer," and then we'll move you to the front of the line and call on you to kind of tell us what you've learned through an experience like that. But personally, I haven't dealt with a probate with citizens of another country. All right, so Dave, we might get you an answer just yet. All right, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's go to, and I'm gonna hopefully I pride myself on being good with names, but we'll see if I mess it up. Is it Shalini? We'll ask you to unmute yourself and tell me how bad I messed your name up.
You were correct.
Yes. All right. Good. What can we help you with today?
I just joined ATL, and I took the probate course 2 months ago. And I want to start with the probate leads. So today's my first day.
Nice. Have you already gotten your first set of leads, or did you just sign up and still waiting on those to come in?
Still waiting on. I think
Okay.
I get the leads on the 24th of each month. Am I right?
Wonderful. Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'm not sure. Everybody's different. Every county is going to be different. But if you think it's the 24th, and I do want everyone to know, if you're new or thinking about getting probate leads, there's a small window. So this is going to go for Shalini, or really anyone else that's thinking about. There's going to be a due date for the county, and that due date is sometimes 5 days early, 5 days late. It's kind of a window of time when those leads should be in and should be skip traced. We collect in most counties once a month, and then the skip tracing and the hunting down of heirs sometimes takes a little bit of time. So there's a window there. So what you should do in the meantime, Shalini, is go in, get yourself as comfortable as you can be with the phone conversation. So get yourself a good way to open that conversation. You should set your mailing campaign up. Get yourself some digital assets like a website or blog or some videos, things like that. It doesn't need to be complicated, but get those 3 things set up over the next couple of weeks, and you'll hit the ground running when those leads come in.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. It's good to have you on board.
Thanks.
Are there any questions that we might be able to answer for you?
Not today.
Not today. Well, thanks
Yeah.
so much for raising your hand. We're excited to see you start.
All right. Great.
All right. I know I've had some people that have chatted in, but I want to go to Ron Smith here real quick. Ron, let's go to you, and then I'm going to read some of the chats and answer some of those questions. And we have room for more questions, guys. More success stories. We want to hear from you all.
Thank you very much. I signed up for the listing success class yesterday. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend due to a family medical issue. Was that recorded, and can we get a recording of that?
Yes. That was recorded. As long as you were registered, and some people didn't register in time, we'll do it again very soon. But as long as you were registered, you are going to get a copy of that recording, along with a copy of the slides that were used. And I'm gonna make sure that is in our Dropbox account for our marketing team to start to render and put together for hopeful tomorrow. Hopefully we can get that replay out by tomorrow.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. And for anyone that doesn't know what we also provide, if you guys are new here, or maybe you're experienced here and have just been hiding under a rock, there's some classes that we offer you guys on a monthly basis. So every single month, currently, there's a one-time probate foundations class that is taught on the first Wednesday of every month. It's completely free. It's a couple of hours giving you the basics of what you need to be successful working probate leads. On the third Wednesday and following day, so third Wednesday and Thursday of every month, there's a prospecting mastery class for subscribers that costs $149. It's 6 hours, and we teach you exactly what to say on the phone and how to guide your prospect through that call. That's a class that I teach. It's near and dear to me because I love studying how to influence people on the phone through prospecting. So I'm going to teach you guys everything that I do on the phone. And then typically every quarter we teach a listing class that's not specifically focused on probate. It's just how I run my listings. So that's the class that was yesterday. So what I do from the time I walk in the door to the time I leave with hopefully a signed listing agreement. So that's what Mike Ron was referring to just a minute ago. And if you guys signed up, you'll get a copy of that. My fingers are crossed for tomorrow. That's relying on me to take a step to get it to the marketing team to Alyssa and Eric to get out to you guys by tomorrow. All right. Thank you, Ron. Let's go to some of the questions. So we've got a question: how to schedule coaching with Kelly. Kelly doesn't have her calendar up yet, but you guys will be able to schedule with Kelly as soon as her calendar's up. My fingers are crossed again, and I keep saying fingers crossed. I'm hoping that we get that all set up by later this afternoon or tomorrow. And everybody's going to be assigned a coach. So when you sign up for all the leads, you're going to be assigned a coach. It may be me, maybe Kelly, maybe Cam. If you have a specific coach that you want to have a talk with, all you're going to need to do is go to the support line and say, hey, I'd like to set a call up with Kelly, or I'd like to set a call up with Bruce. You guys are going to hurt my feelings if everybody starts asking for Kelly and not me, though. But you can just go in. If you're assigned to a different coach, you'll be able to go and request a particular coach, and you'll get their calendar link to be able to book a call. All right, that's one. So Arrington asked, if you really want to fill your pipeline in 8 months, is 300 targeted leads per month a solid number? Direct mail, calling, and social targeting. Arrington, man, yeah, 300 leads, you can fill a pipeline. Everybody's pipeline is going to be different. So for me, a pipeline is about 3 to 4% of the leads that I'm getting. So if I get 300 leads this month, by the time I get done with 8 months of prospecting, mailing, retargeting through social media, things like that, a pipeline is probably going to be about 9 people out of that list that I have in my pipeline. I'm not going to capture all 9 of those. So Arrington, if you captured all 3%, all 9 of those people that you've put in your pipeline, you'd kill it. I've never captured everyone. I've gotten between 30 and 40% of my pipeline. So that's gonna give you a solid few deals a month if you're working your system like that. Some people have a bigger pipeline than that. I know Kelly has a bigger pipeline than that out of her leads, a much higher conversion rate than that. But I want to set some realistic expectations for people. So if I put 9 people per lead file of 300 into my pipeline and I get 4 of those, I'm ecstatic. That's almost 1.5% conversion. And that's honestly, for some people, that's going to be low, but that's a heck of a good ROI if you do that. All right. Triangle Home Crew. My first round of leads came through last week, just figuring it all out. So Triangle Home Crew, you sound like you're in my neck of the woods. Sounds to me like it's Triangle area of North Carolina. Good to have some folks on. So you're figuring it all out. I want you to really go back and make sure that nothing overwhelms you. If you ever feel overwhelmed, and this goes for everyone, if you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember it's not a complicated business. You can add complication in later. Make calls, establish relationships. Don't argue with people when they tell you they've got it all handled. That's totally normal. Don't argue with them. You're building relationships and building rapport. If they're also getting marketing material from you in the form of mail and maybe checking a website out, then it might take 4, 5, 6 months for some of those people to engage with you in a deep conversation. Doesn't mean that you don't try in the beginning, because you'll get some people out of every list on your first month of effort. You'll get some people from that same list on your second month of effort, your third month of effort. And over time, you're going to fill that pipeline up, and you can begin adding things into your arsenal gradually over time. You can begin adding attorney relationships in. You can add extra letters. I think, Kelly, you just added some extra mailing. Your first 3 mailers did so well. I'm pretty sure you added some others, right? So you can add later.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you start with, Kelly?
We're sending duplications. It's actually on my ISA's desk, but it was just a letter of, we offer services. And the second one was, I wrote you a letter a few weeks ago, just want to check in and see if you need any help. The third one was the checklist. And we're actually sending 2 of the same letters, but we're sending them 4 months apart as well. So we're hitting them 7 times in 6 months. And so that's why we're getting so much responses to using mailers, because we're really just cracking down and mailing, and plus the phone calls on top of it.
Yep. And if I'm not mistaken, Kelly, you can correct me, but I think you just started with 3 for your first couple of months. Is that right?
I did. Absolutely. Just like any other lead source, you can, it's probably not going to make your profit for a couple of months. So, you start slow, and then you can always add. You don't have to go full force into anything. You can start with one county, do a couple of mailers, and slowly add on as you feel the need. But I would never recommend someone throwing their entire checking account at one lead source, not knowing how to work the lead source.
Right. A lot of times Kelly's been a coach for a little while, and not just coaching in general. And I know, I'm sure Kelly can vouch for this or add to this, but there are a lot of people that get stuck in complete inactivity because they look at everything that they could possibly do on a particular type of lead or particular niche, and they get locked in fear and locked in overwhelm. And I want to make sure, not just on our leads, not just on probate, but really anything that you guys are doing as a new niche for your business, strip it down to the simplest and easiest possible process and start with that. And every 3 months or so, you can go in and you can tweak and adjust. What do you tell people, Kelly? Is anything different?
The same, absolutely. Some people just get overwhelmed by things that they need to do, that they end up paralyzing themselves and doing absolutely nothing. And then you're not getting any time return on that investment because you're not working that investment. So start it slow, and then you can always build, but never just start big. And I think everyone needs to realize kind of where we are at in our career. You know, we're not new agents, so this is something that we have done for a while. And when we started, I'm sure I can speak for you too, Bruce, that when you started working probate leads, you weren't going full force. You built the foundation and then eventually added on the walls and the roof, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, Kelly, I actually started really similar to the way that you started, and this was years ago. Anytime you add letters, postcards, brochures, different print material, anytime you add videos, websites, blogs, attorney relationships, I want you guys to look at all those different things that you can add as an asset for your business. And when I started with 3 assets, and those were 3 letters. And the truth is, they were the same 3 letters month after month after month. I would mail the same letter once a month for 3 months. And then I would make a few phone calls. And this was back in the day of dropping voice mails. So I would go through and I'd record a voice message and I'd drop it to 100 people at a time. I don't encourage you guys to do that now. Some people do that with success. I personally prefer that everyone make it more personal. It's going to also help you avoid any of those FTC regulations that might get you in trouble as well. So, but that's all I did. And little by little, I added, and I got up to the point where I have probably 18 or 19 letters that are in my asset pool now. And I have brochures and postcards and websites and blogs and videos and a bunch of different things. And I'm not even really working the leads at this point, spending all my time coaching and training. But I have all those assets, and I just did it little by little. And Kelly started with 3 letters, and now she's got 7, little by little. Took you 5 months to get 7, right? 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So don't worry if you guys get overwhelmed. Just remind yourself this doesn't have to be complicated. And by the way, if All the Leads is doing the mail for you, if you're doing 3+ mailers, if you're doing 3 mailers or more, and if you put it on autopilot where you set it and you forget it, and they just go automatically, you get a nice discount on your mailing campaign. So for those of you that either aren't doing mail, or maybe you're just doing 1 letter here, 1 letter there on like a custom order, if you go on autopilot, you're going to get a pretty big discount on any mail costs that you have. So just want to get that little plug in there for you guys. All right. Any other questions? Eric, do we have anything? Okay, so Mike, I'm going to go. Mike has been messaging me. Okay, sorry about that, Mike. I don't always look at my Zoom chat. I rely on the team to filter messages for me. Does ATL offer training? What do you do to get a prospect to respond? Yes, we definitely offer training. And I'm going to give you guys the basics of what I do when I'm phone prospecting. But how do you get people to respond? You have to recognize, number one, that a huge number of your prospects are the type of people that don't answer a phone call from someone that they don't know. They have busy lives. Maybe they're getting spammed. Maybe they have, just like I've gotten my second text today saying, hey, and just starts like that. And I always know that it's someone that's going to pretend that they know me, but they're going to say, this is Erica, right? No. Well, you sound really nice. Maybe we should be friends. So because of that, I don't often pick the phone up if I don't recognize a number. So the whole point of prospecting and marketing is to slowly establish credibility with a prospect that you know is going to start to be ready for a real estate transaction in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Some people are ready much sooner than that, but most are 4 to 6 months, depending on your market. So I want to slowly establish that credibility with them. And I'm going to call. If in a perfect world, I would have you guys call all of your leads 3 times in the first week. So you might call today. If you're going to call 3 times in the first week, I do not recommend leaving a message on your very first call. See if curiosity causes them to call you back. So I don't leave a message the first time. I'll usually call again a day or 2 later if they haven't called me back. I will leave a generic voice message there. I'll basically just say, hey, this is Bruce Hill. I'm calling for John Doe. This is about the estate of Jane Doe. Could you give me a call when you get a second, and just leave a message? So no detail on what I do. If they haven't called me back within 3-4 days, I'll call them again. This time I'll leave a longer, more substantive message where I actually break apart my unique selling proposition. So I tell them exactly what I do. And I always tell everyone, if this is not for you, call me back so that I don't bother you. Okay. My goal is to start a conversation, because when they call me back and I can say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't want to bother you, it allows me to pivot over and ask about the real estate. So I push things way off into the future. I know you guys are going through probate. It's going to be a while, but once probate's over, are you guys thinking about holding on to any real estate involved, or is that something you guys are going to need to sell? All right. So I'm leaving those messages. If they haven't called me back yet, I'll do one more call at the end of the month, a few weeks later. I'll leave another message. And after that, I just put them into a long-term, month-over-month follow-up call. Don't get discouraged if 80% or sometimes even 85% of your people don't respond in that first month. It's totally normal. I don't either. Your goal is to build brand awareness and credibility, and that takes time with some people. 15% of your leads, it's not going to take that much time. Everybody else needs to go on a long-term plan. Your competitors will quit after the first month, after they haven't gotten anyone. Most of your competitors are going to quit, and it's going to leave you alone to build a brand awareness and credibility with your folks over the next several months. And they will call you many times. You'll show up to someone that you thought was never going to call you ever because they've ignored you for months and months and months. And you'll show up to their house one day and they'll have a stack of your letters, and they will have saved your voice messages, and they'll tell you they've been checking your website out, and they're just lurkers. Yeah, I asked earlier in the call how many of you were lurkers of ATL, and I got a bunch of hands, a bunch of you. If you lurk a lead source, just imagine what your probate leads are going to do with you. They're going to be lurkers in the background. And if you quit after the first month because 80% haven't engaged yet, you're going to miss the 80% that still need real estate services. So don't quit. That's all you have to do is just follow up. Build a plan. Start with 3 months, add on to it as your pipeline starts to fill up. All right, I've been doing a lot of yakking here. Tim's got his hand up. Tim, I don't know why you raised your hand. You could have just told me to shut up.
I thought I'd let you run down. You were on a roll there, bud. Hey, the one thing I was going to point out is that, oftentimes we look at the investment that you're doing in marketing as, well, I'm just building my probate business. And the reality is that you are building your probate business, and that's what the direction is for. You've got to realize that each one of those impressions that you're making is making this really strong impression about you being a really strong agent or an investor in your local marketplace, not just pertaining to probate. So one of the things you may want to mix in, and we're seeing more and more people do this, you've got a customer who's beginning to listen to you, they're getting your stuff. Put something in the middle of your mailing that simply talks about, maybe soft pedals the probate a little bit and talks about the other services that you offer, because it's all about that impression side. And I heard from a couple of people last week that we talked to who said, hey, I just tried something out of the clear blue sky and tossed in my regular sort of listing proposal, like I was a farming, just doing a normal farm. And I looked at my probate leads as a farm. Somebody jumped out with, hey, I'm not, the probate already got sold, wasn't happy with the transaction that we dealt with in the probate, but I'd like to talk to you about this property that I'm working with. So you've already got a channel open up. Make sure that you understand you're not just selling probate, or selling your services to a probate customer. You're building an impression of a high quality realtor in your local marketplace.
That's right. Absolutely true. One of our folks, Mike, had asked a couple of questions in Zoom, and I just want everyone to know. Chat to everyone. That'll make sure it comes to me. I'm monitoring a different channel for questions that get screened out. But Mike had some great questions, and Mike, you didn't know that, so you did just fine. But Mike asked if this was he didn't use these exact words, but he kind of asked if this was a recession-proof business. The answer, yes. People go through life transition all the time, and that's what I'm gonna call it, is life transition. There are some major categories that cause people to have to do a real estate transaction. Have to. Death, taxes, you get behind on your taxes, job loss, divorce, and additions to a family. Those things cause, and there could be some others. If anyone else has others, please chime in. Those are have to sellers in many cases. They have no choice. If you've inherited real estate and you don't live in the area, or even if you do, you don't have time to take care of another house and manage a rental, you're selling. So this is going to survive any market shifts that you may see in your local area. It will survive. So you're gonna have a great opportunity, Mike, and anyone else who's thinking about probate, to work these leads, because they in many cases have no choice. In many cases, they're highly motivated. They oftentimes are going to lean on your expertise. They're going to appreciate what you offer more. We've all had those clients that don't appreciate what we offer. We've all had clients that are kind of they know it all. And in probate, you're dealing with someone that doesn't have any idea what they're doing most of the time. And they really, really appreciate what you've done. Almost all of my probate deals, especially those that I did several years ago, have turned into repeat clients. Almost all of them. Any of them that I've done in the very, very recent history haven't turned into repeat clients yet, but I've had so many repeat clients from people that I helped out of probate 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that I can say, if you take good care of these folks, they're going to add to your sphere of influence and add to a really, really healthy kind of core client list, and more transactions than just the one. So good questions. And for Mike and anyone else, if you're a subscriber, you can always book coaching calls inside of your portal. You just go to training and then click on professional real estate coaching, and you get one of those every month. They're kind of a 20 to 30-minute strategy call to just help refine and dial in, tweak that strategy that you're looking for. Let's go to Aaron. Aaron, thanks for waiting patiently.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I had a couple of questions. The first few were kind of around the same thing. So I noticed I just got my first list in, and I noticed the first couple had do not call. They're on the do not call list, which is fine. One of those had other contacts. They're not necessarily the personal representative. Do you call those people and just try to start a conversation and them tell you to call the personal representative on that?
Yes, absolutely. I kind of laid out my first month of calling strategy for everyone just a little bit ago. 3 to 4 calls in that first month. Normally, if I know that I'm going to call again a second time within a day or two of the first call, I'm normally going to call just the personal representative on that first call. I know that I've got a much higher likelihood of speaking to the correct person if I'm calling the personal rep. Now, if I'm not going to get back through my leads for a few days or a week or 2 or 3 weeks, I'll call everyone on that first round. But if I'm going to try to call them again in a day or two, I'm only calling the PR on the first call, and then I'm calling everyone on the second call. And typically the way that I would handle that is say, hey, I have no idea. I was looking for, and I'm going to say the PR name. This doesn't sound like them though. So a lot of times that's really going to pique that person's interest. They're going to go, well, how do you know what they sound like? They're immediately going to think that that maybe you know the person, and then go, yeah, I was looking, and they'll say, no, this is so and so. I am so sorry. I don't say I got your name on a list. I just say, I am so sorry. I'm assuming you must be related to so and so. It took me a bit to find their phone number. That's what I say. I'm assuming you must be related to them. It took me a bit to find their phone number. And they say, yeah. Right. They might say no, or I have no idea who that is. Every now and then data is data, and every now and then there's a percentage of the time it's wrong. But most of the time it's right. So they say yes. And then I say, this might not relate to you. Could I tell you why I was trying to reach them? And you can tell me what to do.
And then similarly, if there's not more than one, if you only have the PR, but they're on the do not call list, do you call the attorney and can they give you permission if they're representing the case to call that person? Is it still, how's that work?
If I call attorneys, unless I have permission from the PR, I don't normally reference the individual person's name, because the attorney is going to try to protect them from calls.
Okay.
So I'm usually not going to call the attorney and say, hey, can I call them? Do
you just call the attorney then?
I call a lot of attorneys. Normally I don't say this is about the estate of John Doe. I'm doing a general prospecting to kind of offer my services to them and any client that might need it. So I'm not normally personally referencing a particular lead or estate. It's in general. And I want you prospecting those attorneys as well. All right. I'm going to play, this is not legal advice. I'm going to play devil's advocate for a really fast moment, really, really fast. And I'm not going to camp here because everyone has to make their own decision. Could there be risk? Maybe. Yes. If a PR has personally registered at the clerk's office and opened probate, many times they have a responsibility to take calls related to that estate. And so it kind of depends on the courthouse and whether the personal representative put their cell phone down on the paper or not, on the application or not. But if they're the PR and they are the administrator for the estate, that helps provide some gray area to the DNC on their phone number. Tim, would you like to clarify anything? I always make you nervous when I talk about DNC list.
Well, the reality is that the TCPA law is put in place to, keep your inbox from filling up with 1,000 voicemails from everybody trying to sell you everything under the sun. And it's there for a reason. The other side of it is that, what Bruce said is correct. They're accepting the responsibility of being the legal entity that is to be contacted in regard to the affairs of the person who has passed away. Does it alleviate your responsibility of following TCPA? No, not at all. Doesn't do that. There are some realities in terms of the fact that making a single phone call, to a person to try to find out the status of a piece of property, and they're the only person that you can contact, you got to make some choices about how you deal with that. The TCPA laws are put in place to stop the people who are putting millions of spam calls into, everybody's inboxes these days, trying to help you scam the government out of collecting on various government programs and, the water at Camp Lejeune and all that. And those are the kind of people that, that it's set up to try to protect you against. So the reality is you got to deal with that. The other tip I would give you is that if you're finding a particular PR is very, very difficult for you to get in touch with, you don't have, the phone numbers aren't good, the, data that you've got, there's just no good information. Try sending a letter out, and we've done this frequently and do this frequently and encourage you to do it, is that make one of the letters that you send out, go out in a legal envelope, and in the bottom left-hand corner of it, or the bottom side of it, whatever, it will pass the structure in terms of the mail itself, because the post office is very strict about this. Put something on there that says regarding the estate of Sally Jones. And the personal representative is legally bound to open that, because their whole job is to settle the affairs of that estate. If there are claims against the estate of Sally, that's how that information is likely to come to them. So that's kind of the purpose of doing that. And that's another way to get to those people. Use direct mail to do it, and put something out there that basically refers specifically to that. And, I know that you are the personal representative for Sally Jones, and been trying to contact you, didn't have a good phone number, wanted to chat with you about any real estate that might be available, anything that you want to put in the letter. But that's a great way to at least know that the eyeballs got onto what you wanted to talk about.
Yep. Good. I'm using the understanding that that these folks are have petitioned the court to be the personal representative on an estate really does help go a long way. They have a lot of responsibility to communicate with people that may have any kind of claim on the property. It's not very often that a personal representative doesn't take calls. Now, if they know that it's a solicitation and it's very clearly a solicitation, then they may get a little squeamish on engaging with you. So offer a service that is not so pushy on real estate. Offer a service that maybe almost everyone is going to need to go through, and that's going to help you a lot when you make those calls and send those letters out.
And be aware of this also, that you're not the only one that's making that phone call. There are, if there's a personal representative for a PR in a given marketplace, you're not the only person that's likely to contact them in regard to that. So make sure that whatever, and if they're starting to get a lot of phone calls, they're going to stop taking them, let it all go to voicemail. Any number they don't know is going to go to voicemail. And you need to make sure that whatever voicemail you leave is very clear about why you're calling, what you're doing, and that's your only opportunity to put your good first foot forward. Make sure you leave a great, memorable voicemail and make it something that people are going to want to call you back. Call out the fact that you're probably getting a lot of other calls, and here's why you ought to call me back. And, make your USP, your unique selling proposition, ring really loudly on that call. Why should they call you instead of the other 2 or 3 people that might have called them?
Yep.
You're going to run out of time here, bud. You got one more.
Yeah, I got David. Let's go to David here real quick. Aaron, you good? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. David Bell, what's happening, my man?
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Great.
So you were talking about lurkers earlier, how people like to lurk around, and just to be transparent, I've been all the leads lurker since like March.
I knew it.
Yeah. And so just to be honest, I don't want to sit on the fence any longer. Like I do want to take action, because I do have a habit of having like analysis paralysis. My question is, like as a beginner, what's the best way to kind of like jump in and get started and be proactive is kind of my question.
Kelly, what do you think?
David, you really just got to get your leads and start calling them. I mean, if you don't have the budget for mailing, that's okay, but you just got to get in there and start calling. It's like anything else. It's like when you were calling your first expired, you just got to know, have an idea of what you're saying. You don't even have to know how to say or what to say. You just need an idea of what you're saying, and the rest will work itself out. But you do have to start calling.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And people are going to be much more polite than a lot of people fear. Everybody on this call probably has a fear of getting called an ambulance chaser. And by the way, I don't particularly enjoy being called an ambulance chaser either. But that's like a fear that a lot of people have. And I'll go to my buddy Aaron Wittenstein, who I'm not sure if Aaron's on here right now or not. He started a few months ago and called me after about a week of prospecting. And he said, Bruce, these calls are way easier than any other prospecting calls I've made. People are so polite. I can't believe it. I said, have you been called an ambulance chaser yet? He said, no. Okay. Now, I don't want you guys thinking that that's not in any way, shape, or form a possibility. Some people are going to respond negatively to your marketing and prospecting, but not many. Most people are going to be polite. Most people will absolutely be a little bit resistant to a stranger on the phone. And that is completely normal. If you want to know how to deal with the resistance, join my prospecting mastery class. That's the third Thursday of the month. Resistance is a great thing. It gives you a chance to build rapport with the person. So the last thing you want to do, we had a subscriber one time that called me and said, Bruce, I can't figure out how to get through to these people. And I said, what are you hearing? And he said, everybody tells me that they've got it all handled, which, by the way, they tell me the same thing when I call. And I said, well, what do you say? And he said, well, actually, you don't have it all handled. And I said, well, what do they do? And he said, they hang up on me. I don't understand why they hang up on me. And it's because you disagree with them. I don't care how wrong the person on the other end of the line is. You never disagree with them. You find a way to educate and correct them later in the relationship. You heap on the validation. You build rapport. That's all you need in those initial phone calls is rapport and a relationship, and the business can come later. Build rapport, build a relationship, get as much information as you can. Don't disagree with them when they tell you something that you know is wrong. They say our attorney's handling everything. I don't like to say, actually, I take over where the attorney leaves off because your attorney's not going to handle everything. That's disagreeing with them. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. But I don't need to prove it to them. I just need them to like me because they're going to have a much better chance of doing business with me later. So get your leads, make some calls. If you've got the budget, set up a minimal skeletal structure of a mail campaign, 3 touches or something like that. And let that mail do its work and warm your calls up.
I had a question just about the budget. So I do have $1,000 set aside for like a marketing campaign. Is that like a decent amount to start off with a mailing campaign?
Is that an overall $1,000 period, or is that like $1,000 extra that you might have per month?
Well, it's literally just kind of money I put to the side for marketing because I'm already doing my own business right now, a mobile home. So I have 2,000 total. I just figured, I heard you guys saying earlier, never just throw all your money into one lead source at one time. So I figured just cut it in half at least and get to work.
I'd say kind of depending on the number of leads in the county every month, it's a good start. Here's what I'm gonna kind of tell you is if you are if you're only going to do one mail touch, I would probably save my money and put it into calls. I don't want you to spend money on something that doesn't have a long enough shelf life to get business. So if you're going to do mail, it needs to be 3 touches. And if that breaks your budget, call.
David, where are you located?
I'm in Burlington County, New Jersey.
Okay. So you're in a marketplace where, that's it's a lot of population, right?
Yes.
A lot of folks around there. And you really kind of got to determine what you want to do and how you want to pursue that. And I think maybe a better way to look at this is let's get together with one of our marketing implementation people, let them work with you to put a program together that can help you spend some of your money to get that, some of it to get the leads, and put a good solid program together that'll get you going to do what you need to go do and make sure your money lasts the best way that you can make it last. So why don't we do that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, Tim. I appreciate that.
Okay, that's great. If you'll make sure that have you called in? Are you in our database at this point?
I may be. I had a representative reach out to me a few times. She's like a really, really nice lady. I had called about a list for Ocean County, and the price she gave me, I don't think it was a bad price at all. I was just kind of having hesitation to get started because I've never done a real estate deal at all. So, and then on top of that, about the list, I use a Google Voice number for my business now. I was going to ask, is that not used? Like, should I just kind of get a separate, line that's not a Google Voice number?
That's a good place to start.
Okay.
It's a good place to start. I'm just kind of hustling because we're going to run out of time. Let's make sure we make that call. I'll make sure that the rep who reached out to you before gives you a buzz back this afternoon. How about that?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Is there any information I need to leave you with before the call is over?
No, we should have it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate
If you don't hear from us by like 3:00, call in because I let my mouth run off.
Okay.
I'm sure you're in our system. It was either probably Darcy or Natalie. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, I think it was Darcy. I believe so.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Darcy, she's awesome. We'll we'll have her get back to you right after the call.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
All right, perfect.
Yeah, and we got your information, David. Well, yeah. Okay. All right, guys. Jim.
All right. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. Thanks to our new coach. Great to have you. Looking forward to Cameron next week. I want to challenge each of you. We had some good ideas on the call today, as we always do. Take one idea, one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you soon. Take care.